Hey, this is Mark Swartz from MTC Media. For those who were familiar with Kevin Willard when he coached at Seton Hall, either because you covered Georgetown, the Big East, combination of the two, um, you're kind of seeing the Kevin Willard that I think some of us were familiar with Seton Hall. Um, Maryland had a loss to Purdue the other night where you can just see where the two programs are. And I don't think anyone expected Maryland to be on par with this particular Purdue team, even though the spread was 6.5. So take it what you will with that. Um, but you could see Kevin Willard in sort of a frustration of sort of, hey, look, guys, I just want to keep this short type of post game press conference after the loss to the Boilermakers. And I'm just here to tell you, with Maryland and the shooting offensively, they're not very good. And this is not the side with Coach Willard, but the truth of the matter is once you had a team in season, that's the team that you have. This isn't, your son's youth league team. This isn't CYO. This isn't AAU teams. You can't go and call a parent and pick someone up for the tournament this weekend. This is not the way it works. So he has a team that's offensively challenged for many reasons. He'd probably be better off if he had a traditional big. Either that, or if Juju could stretch, or if in the constructs of what they want to do, Juju could stretch, because what that would mean is it would open up driving lanes and you drag a guy like Zach Edey out to the perimeter if you have a stretch guy, similar to what Villanova did when they played Creighton, when Creighton had Kalkbrenner. You drag them out with your big Dixon, dragged them out, and they had to honor that, and then that opens up lanes, allows other guys to back in. So if you imagine if you're stretching Juju and then you're posting someone like Dante Scott, something that Maryland could do, and something in different iterations Maryland has done in the past with a guy like Scott. And then that opens up driving lanes for Deshaun Harris-Smith, which, by the way, I don't know how many people who talk about Harris-Smith actually had seen him play prior to Maryland. No one thought that he was coming in as this like knockdown shooter. I don't understand when I hear reactions to his shot, as if you were expecting to see something else. This young man has worked his rear end off. I remember speaking to him before the season. He talked about the challenges of getting his shot better. He wasn't one of these disillusioned young men who thought he was going to come in here and get 30 points a game. I mean, that was fans. Jamie Kaiser, on this level, Jamie Kaiser has to get shots off through actions. You have to have actions to get Kaiser open for his shot. I don't know what people expected when he came in. Did you think in year one he was going to come in and create his own shots against Big Ten defenses when that's not really who he is? So I think part of the problem, and probably part of the frustration I've seen with Willard, is the questions that have come with a recruiting class that had expectations. And that was the first time he's had this experience here in D.C. I'm sure he's had it up at Seton Hall before he got here. But here in D.C., where there's such a love affair for the talent that's in this area from a high school perspective, when you run around and you get some of these guys and you recruit some of these guys, everyone just thinks, hey, man, if you had a squad of DMV guys, how great would it be? Well, that leads to people being a little disillusioned of how this process works. Maryland's not going to magically wake up and be a good shooting team. There are going to be games where they shoot the ball well, but they're not going to be a good shooting team, which means defensively, there's a lot of pressure there, because now the pressure is I got to get stops. I got to get stuff in transition. I can't play this much out of half-court offense because of those challenges, and that's hard to do. So accept that this is the Maryland you're going to get all year. And there are going to be games where they're going to look like, oh my gosh, they've turned the corner offensively, which is what a lot of people said after the game at UCLA when Young looks so good. And you're like, yeah, man, this is what I saw last year. Here we go. It's ready to ship. No, it's going to be some ebbs and flows here with that offense, which means there's going to be some ebbs and flows there defensively. They work in concert. Now, where you do get some breaks, this isn't the great Iowa teams that they've had in the past offensively. There are some teams in the Big Ten that struggle to score, or they have to work very, very hard to score, which is going to work in Maryland's favor. Maryland's going to probably get more wins in the Big Ten than what people are feeling right now. So I'm feeling both sides of it. I'm feeling when I think it's fair to ask what can be done to improve the offense. I think that's fair. But I also think from a coaching perspective that I can understand that you have what you have. You're trying to do what you could do within the constructs of the philosophy with what you have. And some nights it's going to look good. Some nights it's not. It's Marks Washington, MTC Media.